Now, I command you. Tell me who you are and what you are. What? I command you, answer. I am the Skrill.
My God.
Oh yes, fall back on religious superstition, Doctor. First, sentimental sympathy for a poor child, and then heaven help you. If I had your mind, Doctor, I'd shred it or throw it out. It wouldn't be worth the saving.
Hey guys, what up? Total Control 871. Welcome back to BitChute. Welcome back to Rumble. Welcome back to Free Speech. Okay, today we're going to be talking about the things that are proving to be an obstacle to our movement as we try to reclaim our country. Of course, we've all heard about mis, dis, and malinformation. Well, frankly, that's just the tip of the iceberg. What we're going to have to learn how to contend with and deal with are deep state operatives, people who have been embedded within our movement to try and sabotage the movement. This has already started to come to fruition a year and a half ago. If I'm not mistaken, there have been coordinated efforts to attack. If you have been paying attention, it wasn't just simply Project Veritas. It was also Dr. Simone Gold with the Frontline Doctors. She also, within her organization, turned out that people that she had entrusted basically did the same thing to her that they did to James O'Keefe. And then there were others, of course. There was Steven Crowder, the whole David Landau exit. So much I could say about that. Landau, he's a Jew. And quite frankly, many of these conservative podcasters have Jews embedded and camped around them, and I'm not entirely sure that they're aware of it. Of course, Tim Pool, you've got Serge. Of course, he'll never admit to being a Jew. And over on the Dan Bongino show, he always calls him Guy. Some have asked in the comments section, is Guy short for Guillermo? It might be, and of course we know World War II, post-Nazi flight, the Nazi flight of World War II, many of them went to South America. There's a whole documentary on it, and a lot of the Nazi Jews adopted Hispanic identities. So Jews also did this as they brought their oligarchy to great power. They began to understand that it would be to their betterment to hide their lineage as they move about government and the private sector. So, but of course, when Dan Bongino was guest hosting Steven Crowder's show, he did indeed let it slip that Guy's last name is Cohen. Guy is very, as I suspected, Jew. So, and I hate to say it like that because obviously not every last single Jewish person is our enemy. Not every last single one. Jimmy Dore, again, his entire crew. I think they say that they're ethnically Jewish, but they're not Zionists. They don't follow the religion, and of course, in the whole Palestine college campus protest, we have definitely seen the signs thrown up saying that Zionist and Jewish is not the same thing. That remains to be seen. Okay, anyway, I said all that. We opened up with some Wonder Woman from the 70s. Wonder Woman from the 70s. I'm actually going to be bookending today's episode with two segments from Linda Carter's Wonder Woman featuring her golden lasso. I wanted to just simply open up with that. As we saw, not even a intergalactic space entity. The whole episode had to do with space aliens coming down, taking control of people's minds and things like that. And It had a little bit of a cult motif to it. Honestly, that was a lot. 60s and 70s, there were a lot of cults and a lot of communes going on back then. So, but anyway, and you can kind of see how it seeped its way into, television. Um, Anyway, so I wanted to feature that because we're going to be talking about truth. And when we talk about how the deep state is infiltrating our movement, corrupting objective reality. And of course, you can't have objective reality unless you have truth. As you guys know, I have already gave you a little bit of trivia. Wonder Woman's golden lasso. It was gifted to the Amazons by the goddess Hestia, and it compels a person to speak the sheer unadulterated truth as they know it to be. That's a little bit of a qualifier. We'll get into that toward the end of our episode there. Okay, sorry for any ambient noise that you might be hearing. Like I said, I'm running a shoestring budget operation. Got the fan going over there. I'm still haven't fired up the air conditioning yet. I'm holding off as long as I can, and also apologies if I get a little sneezy. My allergy pill, it is starting to wear off. But we'll get through this. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the 3D chess that we're playing with this deep state, and hopefully I can help you out here. The first talking point that I got written down here, I'm looking at my notes, my show notes here. Hot Seat Todd from Dear America, Graham Allen podcast. Todd has said a couple of times, okay? He said a couple of times in the podcast that if he should ever find an American flag flying upside down, that he's going to take it upon himself to go onto that person's property, tear down the flag, and either turn it upright or just simply tear the flag down. Apparently, Todd has no problem risking trespassing charges and vandalism charges because he feels that strongly about his country. The whole point there that Todd is making is that he does not feel that America is in distress yet, because that's what an inverted flag means. It means that the country is in distress and that we are on the ropes. I could not disagree more with Hot Seat Todd. America is very, very much indeed on the ropes, and it really is sad. I don't think that Todd is paying attention here. Just looking at, I got here on my show note here, Trump's gag order. But you know what? That has been this prevailing thing that gets repeated. It got shoehorned in with the fake pandemic, okay? We can do this. We can do this to you because what's happening, it's unprecedented. The situation, it's novel and it's evolving, and we have to act fast, baby. We're not going to do any thinking right now. There's not going to be any thinking. There's not going to be any legislating. We just got to act. We got to do it now, baby, because this is an emergency. This way of thinking, this operating system, it did not come to an end, despite the fact that these purveyors of pandemia, okay, these purveyors of fear porn, as they were systematically proven wrong again and again. Of course, I could always go back to that whole I forget. I gotta find out where that was at. Was it the Atlantic or the New York Times? Some left-wing trash rag, where they actually came out. Or was it last year? I think it was last year or a year and a half ago, where they said that even though conservatives turned out to be right about so many things with the pandemic, here's a list of reasons as to why that's actually bad. What? Even though we got it right, you're trying to say that that's actually bad, and that. So the whole thing had to do with curating over the ability to generate and keep your foot on that accelerator of fear porn. We gotta definitely terrify you into surrendering your constitutional rights. We don't want you thinking. Again, I could always go back to my episode, Anatomy of a Con Job. They want to keep you off kilter. They want to keep you as, panicked and worried and confused as to what you should do. Very hesitant. Makes me think of, ever see senior citizens when they really get up there, they're in their 80s or 90s and they get confused, gas pedal, gas pedal, gas pedal. Ever see that? Their foot kind of hovers over both, because as they approach an intersection, they're like, gas pedal, gas pedal. They don't know what to do. They get scared. That's how the fake pandemic, that's how the deep state have you right now. So, Trump's gag order, that in and of itself. And the irony here is that Graham Allen's podcast, along with all the rest, Tim Pool, Dan Bongino, even Jimmy Dore, all these podcasters, independent podcasts. I was listening to Russell Brand. Did I say that right? Russell Brand. He played the Love Guru. I'm sorry, I don't listen to the guy a whole hell of a lot, but I was checking him out today. I think it's Russell Brand, I think. Even he was talking about it. Apparently, they think that you're too stupid to understand the difference between slandering somebody and putting up a legitimate defense of yourself, up to and including exculpatory evidence. I mean, I really, really wonder, is America... I get it, you got some left-wing whack jobs out there that are probably, deep down, they probably know that what they're doing to Trump, it's woefully illegal, but they're just, I'm not going to say anything about it because it serves my purpose. And frankly, a lot of these left-wing people, the COVIDiots, they themselves are starting to understand what they have pushed and set into motion with their devout following, their pandemic religion, their new world religion of COVID, what they have set into motion, because now so much of what they set into motion is now coming back to bite them in the ass. They're being arrested on college campuses. And I have it here in my show notes here, how the hypocrisy of the conservative podcasters. I'm trying to understand their mind here. How can you literally, I think Rebel News just put up some victories, Arthur Pawlowski, he's getting victories, he's being exonerated, but Arthur Pawlowski and the Coots protesters and the trucker protest, the trucker convoy, Tamara Leash, these people, they all staged like it or not, a highly disruptive protest. It wasn't violent, but it did disrupt things. It disrupted the established order. I don't understand you. How can you be so hotly defend J6ers and trucker protesters, but then you do an immediate 180 about face when it comes to the pro-Palestine protesters, okay? And I'm sorry, I get it, there's been some blocked, people have been blocked, which I do not agree with, especially the fact of how much college costs, okay, because I'm going to show you right now. You sit up there and tell me I can't go to my class, oh, you are about to see a fat black faggot flip the fuck out on you, okay? How much money am I paying for this? Oh, no. If you thought, you know what, and how about, see, look how all these windows start popping open. And I want to talk about so much, those viral videos of fat black people flipping the fuck out and driveways, lunging through driveway windows to beat up, to physically assault fast food workers because they didn't get there. It's like, oh my God, you're in withdrawal, you're in junk food withdrawal. If only urban black people would take their education that seriously. But of course you don't. You'll flip the fuck out for some chicken nuggets, but you won't do it for your education. So, like I say, I take this thing and I analyze it correctly and accurately, to my reconnoitering, to my understanding. If I'm paying for something, or if it is a scholarship, time, oh my goodness, don't make me... Time is the fire in which we all burn. I'm sorry, where the poem comes from, it slips my mind, but it was featured in Star Trek Generations. Anyway, so time is the one thing you can't get back, okay? And I'm sorry, I don't have time to take a semester off while you hash out your problems with Israel, okay? All right? I want it now, baby. I want it now. See, I'm doing... Dig what I'm saying? You know, that's what I'm saying. I want to cop some education right now, baby. I'm not talking about later. I don't got time to sit here and you know, I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and languish in my dorm, you know, ordering junk food, getting fatter, while you have your beef with Israel. And I get it. Trust me, if you guys know me by now, you know that I'm no friend to Israel whatsoever. The Zionist oligarchs, I call them out all day long. As a matter of fact, I have to restrain myself because I don't want my channel to become nothing but... Stu Peters. Nothing but this endless browbeating of Jew people. I do have other topics that I have to cover. But I totally get where they're coming from. But yes, getting back to my point here, the conservatives, this massive hypocrisy that, I'm sorry, it's on full display and it's extremely embarrassing. People are talking about it. You know, Russell Brand was talking about it. You know, all of a sudden, a lot of conservatives, they're just done this 180. Suddenly, locking up protesters is now okay. And by the way, has anybody else kind of pieced it together? When there's a lot of criticism of the Ukrainian funding, they say 61 billion to Ukraine. Whoa. The package was 95 billion. Okay? All right? Or are we not going to talk about the billions that Israel got? Yes. I think 8 billion went to Taiwan, but all the rest of it just divvied up between Israel and Ukraine. Oh, yes. Strange, nobody wants to talk about how Israel got a fat paycheck. Oh, no. Jew owns everything. Okay? And don't even get me started on the so-called anti-Semitism laws that are passing through Congress. I'm telling you, people, these Zionist oligarchs are not going to be satisfied until they have every person like me locked up in a jail. And people like you. Okay? You might not think that you fall within the scope of their target. Not yet, anyway. Okay? Maurice Ogden, the poem Hangman, just saying. Alright, so I got here in my show notes, the American Radical PSYOP, you know, yeah, the American Radicals, they staged a little bit of a PSYOP, and obviously, there have been developments with Kyle Seraphin and his Suspendable crew. I'm also going to be bookending my criticism of their censorship in this episode as well. There have been developments, and honestly, the Seraphim, Suspendable, hypocrisy, scandal, deep state, that's going to be ongoing, okay? I can't sit, just like I can't harp endlessly about the Jews, I can't sit here and harp endlessly about every conservative podcaster and their massive hypocrisies. All I can really do is point things out to you and hope to God that you can pick up what I'm laying down and save yourself, okay? Makes me think of that famous quote from Harriet Tubman, where she said, I freed a lot of slaves, and I could have freed a lot more if only they knew they were slaves. I find that to be very, very apropos. All I can do is but so much. Either you're going to save yourself or not. But real quick, let's jump over and look at what the American Radicals had. The gist of what they're trying to say is journalism should now be made illegal. It's crazy. It's psychotic. Well, it's a psy-op is what it is. And the particular modus operandi that our suspendables are using, they're hijacking Christian conservatives' sense of morality in order to do this. Remember, our deep state oligarchy, they absolutely love and adore camouflage. They're a wolf in sheep's clothing. So what they're doing in this whole segment right here, they're trying to convince Christian conservatives that journalism that's not, corporate, basically. I know you gotta love the irony. They claim to be, complaining about corporate censorship. But if you pay very close attention to their talking points and how they're ever so subtly nudging Christian conservatives, the independent podcasters, the independent podcast audience. There you go. That's what I'd like to say. The podcasters themselves, like Dan Bongino, Steven Crowder, they might get hijacked. Their minds might get hijacked, but it's really their audience. That's who they're really going after. They're trying to steer the herd. They want to change the course direction of the herd, and they want Christian conservatives to start to adopt the belief that O'Keefe media style journalism, undercover journalism, is somehow morally reprehensible.
What I want to talk about to you today on the American Radicals podcast was this story that was shared with me. I didn't see it anywhere. It was actually a New York Times story, so obviously no one saw it. And it was reflecting back to us a real question that we were talking about on Saturday's episode about what are we conserving, what are conservative principles, what is important to us, protecting the most vulnerable. This story really puts you to the test for what is important and what is the right thing to do at the right time, in the right way, and for the right reasons. So without further ado, let me share this story with you, which is a blast from the past, the not too distant past. Ex-FBI lawyer who criticized Trump says Bureau failed to warn her about stalker. Man, Lisa Page, that's a blast from the past, that name.
That sure is. But was the stalker Peter Strzok by chance?
It's not. I definitely
or her ex-husband.
I'm telling you, it involves her kid, which okay. I was kind of scratching my head about. Like she got to keep the kid. Okay, all right.
Interesting.
But for everyone to read, this is a pretty long story about her ordeal, and there's no love lost here. I don't think Lisa Page probably would like you or me very much, Garrett. I don't think we would agree on too many things. John C. Perez, age 32, is an ex-Marine who lives in California. He pled guilty on Thursday to a misdemeanor stalking charge as part of a plea deal that bars him from visiting Washington, D.C. for the next 6 months and requires him to attend a half dozen therapy sessions. In mid-December, so about 5 months ago, Mr. Perez showed up at least 4 times at Miss Page's house in Washington, making a bizarre claim that she had been witness to his childhood sexual abuse, even though the two had never met. During one visit, he actually interacted with Lisa Page's 11-year-old son. The FBI knew about his fixation on me since September, and they said nothing, Miss Page said. 3 months later, he was at my doorstep. Pause it there. It's pretty disturbing, Garrett.
Let's pause it there. It is a very disturbing individual. However, why are you trying to dovetail this particular form of psychosis with undercover journalism? So if you pay close attention to what I just played for you, what did we see? We saw somebody that they got convicted. They're basically convicted and handled as if they're mental. Well, he was mentally ill, but this is what awaits journalists like James O'Keefe. and every other undercover journalist. I suppose it would have made journalists like myself when I go undercover with my undercover video footage. Are we then going to be arrested, labeled psychotic, forced to undergo conditional training, re-education? Are we going to be dovetailed with this type of psychosis? So that's what they're trying to say, because as we know, we see many undercover journalists. They will roll up on their investigative subjects, like the Google executive, and they will be bombarded with questions. That pesky First Amendment. Okay, so that's the whole thing that I'm trying to show you here. I wish to God I could have gotten it in a lot sooner than that, but that's what's happening here. They want to dovetail undercover journalism with psychosis and a reason to be arrested. Again, sorry for the ambient noise. I got lawnmowers and all sorts of things going on. Hey, it's a shoestring operation here. Yeah, so yes, what you just saw, basically what you just saw right there with the American, with Steve Friend and Garrett Boyle, what they were harping about, what they were talking about, what they are trying to do is to get public opinion, because right now that's what they're doing. They're socially engineering public opinion. It's what our intelligence agencies do. They run these operations to get your mind behind certain things. If I'm not mistaken, just like how, again, going back to the college protest, from what I just heard, something about a big, thousands and thousands of signatures are being presented to these college presidents saying that we want these people gone. We want the pro-Palestine people gone. A petition does not neutralize constitutional rights. You dig what I'm saying? I don't care how many signatures you get, okay? A signature in a petition is not a vote, okay? If you want to change something with the law, you're going to have to go through the process. But again, that's what these people have been doing. Again, it's unprecedented. This is an emergency. We're going to have to suspend all manner of liberties, and all these things have to be suspended for the betterment of mankind. Trump's ability to speak for himself. We can't allow Trump to talk about the NDA that proves Stormy Daniels to be a perjurer, so she perjures herself. She signed she also signed an NDA, but she sat there and she also signed an affidavit. That's the word I'm looking for. So we got affidavits that say that I did not have sex with him, but you know what? Now that the political climate has changed, I think I do want to say it. And if you want my personal opinion, yeah, I think he did have sex with her. But again, my personal opinion be damned. This is the court of law. This is what our country has to be based on, stand on. Okay, our courtrooms they have to be white hot crucibles. White hot crucibles where lie, deceit, irrelevancy, and innuendo are all burned away until you are left with the sheer unadulterated fact. And apparently, this bedrock that we based our country on, it is falling asunder. It is to be no more. We are now going to gag people so that they cannot defend themselves. Trump wasn't dishing out any slurs, bitch, slut, cunt, lion, whore, none of that. All the man did was simply point out, oh hey, here's where this woman signed a document saying that she didn't have sex with me. Oh, here's Michael Cohen's conviction record. These are objective facts. These are objective reality. These are the types of facts that are built for the lasso of Hestia, for Wonder Woman's lasso. But apparently this type of truth, this type of objective reality, it is to be naught. it is to fall asunder. Our country will no longer be predicated on facts and reasoning. It's going to be driven by what you feel. If you can whip up enough righteous indignation via a petition drive, if you can whip up enough righteous indignation, then suddenly that usurps our constitutional rights. Are you paying attention? Are you sure you want to go down that path? Because it is very dangerous. So our American radicals, what they're basically doing in that segment that I played for you is that they are trying to create a climate where you're more inclined to agree that undercover journalism is somehow bad, and that it should be made illegal, and that it should be dovetailed with the crime of stalking. Okay? And if you're paying very close attention, that's what they're doing here, okay? They're saying, because remember now, we got Section 702, okay? They already can say that they can just spy on you willy-nilly, okay? Don't feed me that. It has to be foreign. Okay, please. You know how much spam email I get? Who's to say that doesn't come from some foreign person? Oh my goodness. Amir, he's total control. He's receiving emails from a source that we know to be foreign and hostile. You know? So therefore, for the betterment of mankind, we're going to have to go in, we got to read those emails, yes indeed, and we got to tap the phone in web histories and search and everything, and oh my goodness, after traipsing around inside of his phone illegally in total violation of his Fourth Amendment rights, son of a gun, we came across either emails, text messages, video footage that he may have shot already that's in the can, undercover video. Oh my God, it's of a political figure. This is very scandalous. Oh well, this isn't journalism. Well, clearly Total Control is stalking this political figure. Oh, this is stalking. And I'm afraid we have a duty. We have a duty to let this political figure know, or this media figure, this media oligarch, tech oligarch, whoever the target is of the undercover investigation. I'm afraid we're going to have to let them know that they're the target of an investigation. Yeah. I mean, sorry, did I say investigation? I mean, stalking. They're being stalked. It's very dangerous. We have to take action to keep you safe. They are criminalizing undercover journalism. This should be of great concern to you. Okay? Because rest assured, conservatives and liberals, Democrat, Republicans, they will both make use of this. Okay? Trust me, when your back's against the wall and you're about to be embarrassed and scandalized and, you know, you'll do anything to get out of that scandal. You know, his name escapes me, but I think I can find it. What I'll do is I'll throw up a quick picture up here of this. He never got elected. His whole thing was, you got to give him credit, because I know a lot of Christian conservatives are probably, they're clutching pearls and it's absolutely a gas. Oh my God, you're trying to legitimize sex work? And he was, do I want to say a state senator? It was some sort of a congressman that he was trying to get elected as. And one of his corner talking points was legitimizing sex work. And to prove this, yeah, as you can see, he did porn. It's not leaked. Leaked means that somebody went in and distributed it against his will. He hired a sex worker to have sex with him, She knew they were being filmed. Everybody was on board. Everybody knew what was going on. And then he, I think, uploaded it to one of the porn sites, whatever. And the whole thing was is that, I couldn't argue with his logic. It was a brilliant piece of logic. Can you imagine the amount of pressure that the deep state would lose, the amount of power, of control the deep state would lose if all of a sudden things like porn stars' sex scandals were no longer a scandal? It's not something that you have to hide from people. It's now no longer a vector of control. Whether you agree with it, whether it vexes your religious beliefs or whatever the case may be, you gotta hand it to the guy. It really was a brilliant piece of, I'm not saying I would have voted for him, but I'm just pointing out things here. I'm pointing out all the different four-dimensional ways that the deep state oligarchy is destroying this country. Again, I remind you, today's episode is about four-dimensional chess in this political landscape. How objective reality is being targeted and destroyed, and apparently conservatives are starting to get on board with this shit. Okay? So, since then, the last couple of episodes from American Radicals as well as Kyle Serafin's show, they backpedaled. The whole thing blew up in their face. People are talking. They know they're deep state. They know they controlled opposition, and they're basically backpedaling the whole thing. Before, let's see, do I want to talk about it now? I want to,
Comes up in this little article here that I found. This goes back to 2012. This predates my time in the FBI, but this is an issue that I saw while I was working for the Bureau as we did surveillance on people that were engaging in what should have otherwise been protected speech. And then also this very nebulous term that the government uses to go after people. It's called material support of terrorism. They're also very interested in how they use it. They mostly go after jihadis. This set of protests will be problematic. I want to bring this thing up. It's politics and terrorism. What happens when money is speech? This is in the wake of Citizens United, essentially a court decision, a 5-4 court decision from the Supreme Court that allowed people to give unlimited monies in the political sphere because their money constituted First Amendment protected liberties. This woman, Deborah Hellman, who's writing on behalf of the Virginia Law Review, has a little brief. It's only a couple of pages in one of their articles, but it touches on this fundamental issue that if money is speech and you are allowed to give speech, what happens when you want to give money to groups that the United States State Department has determined are terrorist organizations? Because then you can go to jail for it. And I'm going to actually take it a step further because there's another piece in here that is really problematic. There is a whole number real world propaganda value. We talked about propaganda. There is a propaganda value to groups like Hamas or ISIS or Al Qaeda or Al Shabaab, or you take your pick of terrorist organizations that we can all agree are terrorists. There's a whole number propaganda value for an American to support their cause. They would do a lot to get Americans, particularly Americans of note or people that can stand in front of a microphone and speak articulately in favor of their cause. There is a value in dollars that you could attribute to the propaganda that they're doing. So your speech now has a monetary value. And we know that you're allowed to speak in favor of these things. And that speech is of value to these organizations. How is that not some material support? There's a really dangerous line there. We are in conflict in this country when it comes to decisions that have been made. Because you can't give money, but money is speech. If money is speech, why can you not give your money and your speech in favor? And if you cannot give money and your speech has value, then how could you give speech in favor of it? It's a line for First Amendment absolutists like me that says, I'm not 100% sure that we shouldn't be able to give this money.
Are you shitting me? He had the audacity to end that rant by referring to himself as a First Amendment absolutist. That's what Kyle Serafin says, but what did he say? What did he actually say? He just told you that you, exercising your First Amendment right, is now to be regarded as material support for terrorism. Do you not see the multidimensional psyop that is being run on you? And again, I remind you, it's all being done. It's all dressed up to make it look like we need to be moral. We need to take a high road. We need to be above all this sleazy way of getting journalism done that Kyle Seraphin would call sleazy. What, just because some trick, either she was drunk or she was pretending to be drunk. Okay? Women get drunk in bars all the time. It's really no big deal. The Suspendables act as if the woman was brutally raped. She was not even close. But Kyle Seraphin is telling you that you exercising your First Amendment speech, that if your speech becomes so effective, because that's when as he wants to dovetail it with a monetary value, that's basically what he's doing. He's criminalizing you for speaking very well, for having poignant arguments. You heard him say it, if somebody gets in front of a mic and speaks articulately. So if somebody is an effective speaker, then therefore they are to be regarded as material support for terrorism. People will be thrown in a jail. And Kyle Seraphin has the audacity to end that entire rant by saying that he is a free speech absolutist. Bullshit. Again, like I say, I am not trying to make today's episode all about Kyle and his crew. But if we are talking about four-dimensional chess, yeah, that was really scary. I mean, really, who is Kyle Seraphin? We already know his name is fake as hell, okay? And, of course, Kyle. Hi, Kyle. What was it? How did it go? Our comments are welcome, even our sarcastic ones. Our sarcastic comments are welcome. Are you sure?
Questions, comments, and sarcastic remarks all encouraged. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Questions, comments, and sarcastic remarks all encouraged. Sarcastic remarks all encouraged.
Our comments are welcome, even our sarcastic ones. Our sarcastic comments are welcome. Are you sure? Oh my goodness, there's that pesky objective reality again. You sit there and you say that that all is welcome, that, I sat there and I even gave that some thought. Well, I don't know. I suppose what I was saying, it was kind of trolling. Excuse me, everybody. I am kind of in the natural light, sunlight. And I am a little perspiry. Moist. Hercules. I'm getting moist. So, I gave it some thought. I wanted to make sure, well, was I wrong for saying, Kyle, or are you the one in the closet? Are you a dick-starved fag? Who are you jealous of, Kyle? Are you jealous that James gets to bang hot chicks? Presumably. I mean, I haven't seen anything that actually proves that he has or does. You might be right. Maybe he is gay. If I'm not mistaken, didn't you, Kyle? You just parodied James O'Keefe's oligarchy video. And I laughed. I thought it was funny. Good job. Or was it you? I don't know if it was you that parodied it, or if you came across a parodied version of James O'Keefe's oligarchy music video. But either way, whether it was you or somebody else, I thought it was hysterical. I loved it. Bravo to comedy. We have to be able to laugh at ourselves, laugh at each other. Where he says, am I straight or am I gay? If I'm being honest, I've wondered if James O'Keefe is gay, maybe. I don't know. But are you jealous of James? Kyle? You didn't have a problem criticizing and making fun of James O'Keefe, okay? And if I'm not mistaken, you routinely refer to Corinne Jean-Pierre, I call her Creamy Jean. Creamy Jean. Kareem Jean-Pierre, Jean, Creamy Jean, the press secretary, who frankly, she is an ass clown. She is ridiculous, okay? However, you don't have a problem whatsoever referring to her as Sideshow Bob. Correct? So you don't have a problem with trolling other people. You troll James O'Keefe and you troll the press secretary. Oh, but... Kyle, you're so precious and delicate. Should we say a little prayer for you? It's your precious moments. Is this your precious moment? Should we say a little prayer for you because you're just so goddamn precious and delicate that you can't take trolling? Is that what it is, Kyle? Huh? I don't know. Maybe you're that kind of a faggot. You're the kind that can take it. You like to dish it, but you don't like to take it, right? Yeah, that's Kyle. He can dish it, but he can't take it. Huh? Yeah. Or have I got it wrong? Maybe Big Daddy isn't your cup of tea. Maybe you're in the mood for something. Oh, what was it now? Star Trek Next Generation's Lieutenant Barclay says, maybe you're in the mood for something a little bit more unusual.
No.
She's like that Catwoman broad in the papers. Something I can do for you, pussycat?
I'm looking for the owner of this.
Never seen it before.
Take a closer look.
Is that more your speed, Kyle? Whoosh. Ow, me ouch. Maybe that's more your speed. I don't know. But one thing's for sure, you are a hypocritical piece of shit. You want to criticize others, you troll others, you parody others, but you don't want to take it yourself. And when somebody does dish it to you, well then you cave and you fold like a limp-wristed faggot. And trust me, Kyle, it's never good when a faggot ends up calling you, a presumably straight man, a faggot. When gay men call straight men faggots, trust me, that's pretty damn embarrassing, all right? And before I let Creamy Jean Cream Jean Pierre. Before I let Creamy Jean off the hook, there's something I want to point out about her, because we're talking about multi-dimensional chess here, and how so many in the black urban community, I say I'm hitting 40 minutes here, 40 minutes by this principle is probably longer on your count. Creamy Jean, she recently, I think it was April 10th, the White House hosted the cast of A Different World.
It's a different world. Woo! From where it come from. Here we go. Yes, it is now.
I know my parents loved me. Stand behind me, come what may. I know now that I'm ready, yeah. For I finally heard them say, it's a different world, ooh, than where you come from. Yes, it is now, yeah. Here's our chance to make it. Hey, and if we focus on our goal, you can decide, we can take it. Hey, just remember that you and told. It's a different world. It's a different world. It's a different world. It's a different world than where you come from. Ooh, than where you come from.
Now, of course, what I find so interesting about that is that entire theme song, it's completely antithetical to what our current woke college campus embodies. Our current woke college campus plays more like a Colgate commercial, a Colgate toothpaste commercial.
Welcome, freshmen. Remember, orientation will be at 5 o'clock today.
Smiling first can help someone find the courage to do the same.
Here, let me help.
Thanks.
If I'm being honest with you, I could not express to you, being a black man myself, how excuse me, piece of pollen. Tree jizz. I can't begin to tell you how incredibly infuriating that Colgate ad is. It's just the most condescending thing you've ever seen in your life. You poor little pickaninny Negro. Here, we need to keep you grouped with your own kind in your own echo chamber, because we know you're not really strong enough. So basically, in that advertisement, as the British like to say, British pronounce, yeah, very, very antithetical, because they're basically saying is that you need to be kept amongst your own kind. Yes, people, segregation. It's segregation, and it's psyoped to you. It's packaged in a particular way that says that this form of segregation, this is actually good segregation. This is good segregation because this is segregation that keeps you safe. But what does the lyrics to our theme song say? I know my parents love me, stand behind me come what may. Ah, parents, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't our woke mob, aren't they targeting parents? We don't want to call them mother and father. No, we're going to break that bond. We're going to destroy the nuclear family, be it a white nuclear, a black nuclear, Latino nuclear. We're going to destroy traditional family values. So you've already run afoul of what the theme song actually says and what it's actually standing for. Instead of turning to your family to support you as you go through this higher education process, what do? You end up joining an echo chamber cult. Whether it's pro-Israel or pro-Palestine, pro-trans, Tifa, BLM, they're all communist cults designed to mind fuck the shit out of you. Okay? That's not what the song actually says. And if I'm not mistaken, the song, it says it, Kyle. If I can dish it, then I can take it. But that's not you, is it, Kyle? No. And it's not you either, Kareem Jean. Because you're not about being able to take it. You're not about entering into your different world. That's what the whole name of the show is, what the name of the song is. That's what they're telling you. You are leaving home. You're leaving your neighborhoods. You are now going out as a young adult into the world. You're going to be making your first adult decisions, and you're going to be held responsible to those decisions. Okay, and I don't want to get too high and mighty. I was thinking about that the other day. Oh boy. What was it? Mariah Carey, lyrics to her song Saving Grace. You know, catching my every fall. I still exist because. There were times in my life in my younger years, the roaring 20s, you know, where I pulled some bonehead maneuvers, you know. Real bonehead maneuvers. I mean, like the poem Footprints says, there are times in my life I look back and I'm like, oh my God, how did I get out of that fiasco unscathed? Simple. God was carrying you. His footprints, not yours. God was carrying you. Okay? So, we leave our echo chamber world and we go to a different world. That's what they're saying. That's what the whole song means. You're going to, not maybe, you are going to encounter races, culture, religion, political opinions. All are going to be vastly different than what you have been led to believe. So I'm sorry if you can't hold your own next to a bigot that either hates women, hates gays, hates whatever, fill in the blank. If you can't stand toe to toe with them, then you don't belong in higher education. You do need to go to fuck back home.
Shields are down, sir.
You're carving us up like a roast.
With whatever force necessary. Terminate that beam.
Arrogance. Do you still profess to be prepared for what awaits you?
Sir.
Without our shields, at this range there is a high degree of probability that a photon detonation could destroy the Enterprise.
Prepare to fire. I'll be leaving now. You thought you could handle it. So handle it.
Q. End this.
Moi? What makes you think I'm either inclined or capable to terminate this encounter?
If we all die here, now, you will not be able to gloat. You wanted to frighten us. We're frightened. You wanted to show us that we were inadequate. For the moment. I grant that. You wanted me to say, I need you. I need you!
Position? 070, Mark 63, sir. Back where we started.
That was a difficult admission. Another man would have been humiliated to say those words. Another man would have rather died than asked for help.
I understand what you've done here, Q. But I think the lesson could have been learned without the loss of 18 members of my crew.
If you can't take a little bloody nose, maybe you ought to go back home and crawl under your bed. It's not safe out here. It's wondrous, with treasures to satiate desires both subtle and gross. If you can't take a little bloody nose, maybe you ought to go back home and crawl under your bed. It's not safe out here. If you can't take a little bloody nose, maybe you ought to go back home and crawl under your bed. It's not safe out here. It's wondrous, with treasures to satiate desires both subtle and gross. But it's not for the timid.
So I'm sorry, if you can't hold your own next to a bigot that either hates women, hates gays, hates whatever, fill in the blank, if you can't stand toe-to-toe with them, then you don't belong in higher education. You do need to go to fuck back home. Okay? Coming up on an hour here, and I want to wrap this thing up because I don't want it to get too long. So this is what we are learning. You know, the hypocrisies that's rolling out. I got more talking points here, but I really want to wrap this up. I don't want it to get too long. I can't be rolling out them 90-minute episodes every single time. So we're going to wrap now with our bookend. Our bookend, Wonder Woman. Her second Golden Lasso segment here that I got for you. There was more that I wanted to throw in terms of waking your mind up, but I don't know. I guess it'll just have to be another episode. That's me for you. I always want to say everything in one episode, and I have to pick and choose. So let's take a look. And as we view this last clip, you know, Wonder Woman, she's going to be questioning a thug, what is presumably a street thug. But I want you to pay very close attention to not only what he says, but how he says it.
What's your name?
Angel Velasquez.
And who are you working for?
I can't explain it. It's called the Movement. But I only know the two guys that I sent after you and the girl Carolyn.
Carolyn. Where can I find her?
I don't know. She finds me.
Don't you have a last name, a phone number?
No. And that's why the Movement is so effective. No one knows more than a few members.
What does the Movement plan to do?
To change the world. So that those on the top can be taken away from power and those at the bottom should be set free.
Did this Carolyn recruit you?
Yes. Funny thing. She used to be a cop.
Did she tell you that?
No. Cops can tell ex-cons, and ex-cons can tell ex-cops. I can't explain it, but sometime, somewhere, she wore the badge.
You really don't think that it could be that powerful, but it is. What I found so incredibly remarkable, because like we saw at the beginning of our episode, even an intergalactic space entity, as much as they tried, you know, they were fighting it, you know. It was rare when Wonder Woman wouldn't all, she says, I command you. She didn't really say that very often, but yeah, she's like, I command you. But even our intergalactic space alien was no match for the lasso of Hestia. And it's true, our Latino thug, he also was forced and compelled to speak the truth. But the one thing that I found so very interesting was that his ideology, his operating system, you know, his brainwashing. He says that the movement, you know, that thing that Steve Friend and Garrett O'Boyle, they say they don't care about your movement. His movement, okay, because the whole episode centered around staging an assassination. It was definitely one of the darker episodes of Linda Carter's Wonder Woman. And frankly, I could throw out a piece of trivia. the Bionic Woman, Lindsay Wagner's Bionic Woman. There are 2 episodes. It's a 2-parter episode. It's called Jamie's Shield, Part 1 and Part 2. Jamie's Shield. Part 1 is available for streaming, on Roku. But apparently Part 2 is not. And Part 2 had to do with an assassination of, I believe it was a religious figure. I forget the person's name. Some woman. The whole episode had a lot to do with women's lib and women's right, but, a lot of that was going on back then. A little Gloria Steinem. So, for whatever reasons, there you go. There's your streaming platform. Contempt for you, infantilizing you, telling you that you're not adult enough to see this. The episode of Wonder Woman had to do with staging an assassination, and it was a darker episode, and it had to do with brainwashing. And we saw that our member, as it turns out, he's not really what you would call a thug. He's not a thug at all. He's actually a devout member of this movement. This man's brain has been completely hacked, and not even the Golden Lasso can break him of this, because he goes on to say, while under the spell of the Golden Lasso, that we're here to take those in power out of power and to liberate people. This is, apparently he can say this as a truthful statement. It's truthful to him. Remember, that's how the lasso works. It compels you to speak the truth as you know it to be. So it could be argued that Wonder Woman, if she were real, if she were not a fictional character, if she were real, if her lasso was real, I don't think she could have helped Jim Jones and his parishioners. The lasso cannot change how your mind works. It can force you to speak the truth, but it'll be the truth as you believe it to be. And what's really crazy is that Jim Jones, he could probably say under the spell of the Golden Lasso that I only want to help people before going to Africa, while at Africa, after having just shot the senator, ordering the assassination of the senator. He could continue to say under the lasso that he only wants to help people. He only wants the best for everybody. And you know what's really crazy? As hundreds of corpses were lying, rotting in the African sun, he still could have said that he only wants the best for everybody. Because that's what he truly believes. I just found that to be very interesting because, like I say, getting back to Hot Seat Todd and getting back to Kyle, the Suspendables, these are people who believe that, people like me are going too far, that flag upside down, willing to endorse guerrilla journalism, undercover journalism. This is a bridge too far. But of course, we've seen the extent of this deep state oligarchy's brainwashing. Do you know what this is? This is an image of people in China who committed suicide in the wake of the fake pandemic, the lockdowns. If you correctly recall, people were welded into their apartments. If you were found to constantly leave your apartment, if you refused to stay inside your apartment, they did more than just simply lock you in. They welded the door shut. People ultimately committed suicide. But what I found so incredibly fascinating about the whole thing, as an amateur student of sociology, I found it very fascinating that even though these people have clearly been pushed to their breaking point, there's no question about it. Trust me, when you murder yourself, You are at your breaking point. But still, they did not break free of their brainwashing. They wore the mask while killing themselves. They wore their mask. That is a true testament to the power of brainwashing. Even though you're about to die, this could be your last double-barrel middle finger to the government by taking off your mask. Fuck you! But you don't. And believe me, the deep state oligarchy, they're paying very close attention to that fact. People who, while they are about to die, still did not step outside of the line. So there you go, people. Hopefully I have educated you. Obviously, we're going to have to do a little bit more of this. I want to maybe talk a little bit more to our urban black community in our next episode about how you can't always... I'll leave it to the next episode. Alright guys, that's it for now. Hopefully you are being vigilant and always watching. Because believe me, they're watching us. Total Control 871.